Alright, so what's going on, everybody? My name is Jacob, and today I'm going to be giving a speech about divorce and how it affected me and how it affects everybody in the U.S. So I have my audience. I have Ant right here, Paul, Pete, my ace cameraman right there, Sarah, Jordan, Gary, Ricky, John, and then Thomas. That's like 9 people. It's a lot of people. Alright, so as I said before, I'm going to be talking about divorce. So my name is Jacob. I grew up here in Lancaster all the way up until now. Okay, so my dad wasn't really in my life a lot. I remember he was in my life earlier. He would take me to the park and we'd play t-ball and we'd go on the swings and stuff like that. It'd mainly be my mom taking me to school. I remember my childhood being very good early on. I would have a lot of friends. I was playing games a lot. I was playing with my neighbors all the time. I had a really good relationship with my mother and my father. I remember one day I was waiting after school for my mom to pick me up, and she didn't come. So I was getting a little worried. So I was staying a little bit late, playing with the kids, playing tetherball, playing with the duty aids, just chilling. And then they eventually brought me into the office because my mom hadn't picked me up yet. So I was getting a little bit worried because my mom hadn't showed up yet, and she's normally on time. She's normally the first one at the gate. So a little bit more time goes by, and nothing. There's nothing. The duty aides are flipping through the book, trying to find my name in their little book to call my parents. So they call my parents. My mom doesn't answer. Nobody answers, actually. A few minutes more go by, and I see a figure getting out of the car, and I'm like, oh, it's probably my mom. So I run to the door, all excited, all cool, and then the door opens and it's my father. And previously to this, I had not really seen my father that much because him and my mother have been arguing a bunch. There was just a lot of conflict going on in the household, and it caused them to really distance themselves away from each other and from me. How many of you guys have divorced families? 1, 2, 3, 4 people. So it's divorce really hits a lot of people. It's a scary thing. So anyways, my father picks me up, and the entire walk back to the car, it's silent because it's just silent. It was very awkward. It's a very awkward walk back to the car. So as we get in, he asked me if I learned anything, and I had said no. And then the conversation was silent again. So as we were driving home, I noticed that I was seeing things that weren't very familiar to me. I was seeing a different area. We were in a different part of Lancaster that I had never been to. And then we get to this neighborhood, and there's a giant brown building. I remember a giant brown building, and he looks at me and tells me to get out. And I look at him and tell him, why? This isn't my house. This isn't where we live. Why are you telling me to get out? And he just says, get out. So I don't know what to think. I'm a kid. I'm like 5 years old. I'm a kid. I have no idea what's happening. So I get out, and he drives away. As he's driving away, I'm running after the car. I'm crying, tears rolling down my face. I'm screaming. I don't know what to do. I'm panicking. I'm yelling at him to stop the car, let me back in, please. I want to go home. So eventually, he stops the car and lets me back in. And then he takes me home, and then that was that. The last thing I remember with my father is my mother and father were arguing in the living room. They were screaming very loud. And then my mom looks at me and gives me an ultimatum. She tells me, do you want to stay with your father or do you want to stay with me? And then I run up to my mom and hug her on the leg. And that's all I remember about my father. I haven't seen him since. All right, so the psychological effects that divorce can lead on a child growing up are pretty bad. The lack of education, underlying psych effects as an adult, poor people skills, and a troubled childhood. You're 20 times more likely to go to jail if you don't have a father. Your people skills are going to be pretty poor, like I said. Some kids are affected in the sense to where they don't know how to talk to other boys because they never had a father figure in their life to really rub off on them and to show them, what it's like to how to talk, how to treat a woman or how to fix a car, stuff like that, little things. Education is something I can relate to. My middle school life, my elementary school, after my father had left, I had pretty poor grades. I had no motivation to do schoolwork or anything like that all the way up until now, college, where I'm actually trying to do work. How I feel about the event, I don't know what to think because I don't know the circumstances between the divorce between my mother and my father. Then I think when I was growing up, I think I was very resentful towards my father. I remember just hating him and not wanting anything to really do with them, anything like that. So some reasons why couples get divorced are infidelity, conflicts, domestic violence, substance abuse, and financial hardships. So a study by HHS.gov tested 18 couples and 52 individuals. 75% of individuals experience infidelity in their relationships. That means 75% of relationships, there was somebody that cheated. And 94% of couples experienced it. 57% of individuals experienced conflict, and 72% of couples also reported conflict in their relationships. So those are two really big numbers as to why some marriages and relationships don't work out. Domestic violence, 36%. That's not as common, but it's still kind of common too. 36% is too much. It should be 0 because that's not good. Substance abuse, 25 million Americans are affected by substance abuse. When substance abuse is controlling, like the mother or the father or anybody in a relationship, the person that doesn't do the substance is going to be affected or indirectly affected by that, and it can lead to a lot of bad things. And an estimated 24.7 million people grow up without their biological father. That's 57% black boys or kids, 31% Hispanics, 20% Caucasian. That's a lot. We as men, we have to do better. We have to stay with our families. We have to keep everything close because we have to raise our kids the right way, and we have to give our children the best shot at having a successful life. Kids without their biological fathers are less likely to become pregnant early. They're more likely to graduate college. They are less likely to go through substance abuse in their life. They are more likely to work. They are more likely to have a positive relationship with whoever they may be in a relationship with. They are less likely to have psychological problems. They are less likely to be sexually abused. And they are more likely to be physically and mentally fit. So the point of this speech is to really raise awareness on divorce and the problems it can cause in children and families itself. You really want to give your child or your children the best shot at living life, and that begins with having both parents together. Thank you.